Hello and welcome to Africa Focus here on COU TV. Today we are taking a closer look at a pressing issue in the Horn of Africa, the ongoing debate surrounding Somaliland's recognition by the international community. Somaliland's pursuit of recognition has been marked by diplomatic efforts, including lobbying international organizations and government, highlighting its democratic credentials and contribution to regional stability. However, the challenges posed by the unresolved territorial disputes with Somalia and the complexities of the Horn of Africa have hindered this progress.
Allow our nuclear deterrent to be compromised, and that needs to be heard loud and clear.
Second on question, Baroness Hoy.
My Lords, I beg leave to ask the question standing in my name on the order paper.
My Lords, the UK, alongside others in the international community, does not recognise Somaliland's unilateral declaration of independence. The settlement of Somaliland's status is an issue for Somalia, including Somaliland, to decide through a consultative process and dialogue.
My Lords, I thank the noble lady for that answer, but does she realise that Somaliland, since 1991, has had 6 democratic elections, observes the rule of law, has religious tolerance, and is a haven of peace in that awful area of the Horn of Africa? Why will His Majesty's government not recognise that we must support and encourage democracy around the world, particularly in Africa, where we give money to some appalling regimes like Zimbabwe? Surely this is a time for Her Majesty's government to face up to the fact that other countries, like France has recognised it. We should be recognising Somaliland now.
My Lords, the noble lady is right in her strong support for Somaliland, but that doesn't change our position on the question of recognition of Somaliland as an independent state. But she is right, and we do have a very long-standing and deep relationship with Somaliland, not least because of the large number of Somalis living here in the UK, but also our support for the port there, our support for health, for education, for security, and in many other ways, and we're very pleased to continue with that relationship.
The UK House of Lords has been a key forum for discussions on this topic. In recent years, members of the House have debated the potential impact of recognition on regional stability, the state of Somaliland's governance, and the UK's role in the Horn of Africa.
But on reflection and in totally changed conditions, particularly in the area of the Middle East and East Africa, and West Africa, and particularly in those areas, surely there's new considerations come in. I mean, why do we have to wait for every other nation to recognise and help Somaliland? They are extremely feisty, if I may use that word, organised country, quite well run, passionately pro-British. It would do us enormous help to have a really good friend in that very sensitive area, with the Chinese pouring in next door. It makes utter sense for our review, for our own foreign policy, to think about this positively. Would you take it back to the Foreign Office and ask them to think again? Yeah.
Well, I'm very pleased to provide consistency in the government's approach. I think the UK needs to tread carefully in regards to this in the Horn of Africa, given the situation that the Noble Lord has just described. We do have strong links. We have a permanent diplomatic presence in Somaliland, but my sense is that this would not be the right thing to do for the stability in the wider region, to wade in and to take such an act at this point in time.
Has recognised Somaliland in return for Red Sea access, and Egypt has signed a military and security defence arrangement with Somalia, with Ethiopian troops currently in Somalia, then caution, I believe, is justified. The UK was the lead funder for the African Union peacekeeping mission in this area in Somalia with regards against Al-Shabaab. Is it not in the UK's key strategic interests that we restore the funding for the new mission, which is going to be renewed at the end of this year, to ensure that Al-Shabaab does not benefit from the tension and the standoff between Somaliland, Somalia, Ethiopia and Egypt?
Yeah.
I'm grateful to the Noble Lord for reminding us just how complex this situation is, and we have we have to keep in mind where Ethiopia is, where Egypt is, Somalia, Eritrea. It's somewhere that we don't take rash decisions. We are committed to making sure that the fight to combat Al-Shabaab is taken forward, and we will play our role in that as he would expect.
Lords, can I suggest what the Noble Lord Purvis has just said about the importance of keeping the battle against Al-Shabaab at the top of our priorities and bearing in mind what has already happened in the Horn of Africa, not least in Tigray? Isn't the government right to proceed with caution? Can the Noble Baroness tell us whether she is in discussion with members of the African Union to discover what their views are about this? And also, will she bear in mind that independence in the case of South Sudan has hardly led to peace in that troubled part of the country?
Yeah.
Well, we're desperately worried about what is happening in South Sudan, and Minister Annalisa Dodds has visited there very recently. And yes, we will be keeping this at the front of our minds. I think, as I said earlier in the week when these matters were discussed, that my noble friend Lord Collins has been in Ethiopia in the last few days, and he's right to make sure and to urge caution and wisdom at all times in this.
While there is no consensus among lawmakers, the debate have highlighted the complex geopolitical landscape of the region and the challenges facing Somaliland's quest for independence.
Lords, can I also urge caution on this matter? It's got wider implications for places like Ukraine, and I think that any decision that was made here has to take into account the wider implications that will be made if a change was made.
I think the Noble Lord has summarised what I've been trying to say very well, and I thank him for that.
My Lords, I'd like to thank the Noble Baroness Lady Hoey for bringing this matter to the attention of the House. This is a very important issue, and as the Noble Baroness, the Minister, said, stability in the region is absolutely paramount. But, my Lords, the Noble Baroness has also mentioned the influence of the African Union. There's got to be, we have to take this matter further. We have to encourage dialogue between the parties themselves so that sovereignty can be recognised for Somaliland. And what other matters can the Noble Baroness comment on in the ways they're persuading the parties to this agreement actually come to the table and come to agreement?
Well, I thank the Noble Lord for the approach he's taken to this topic. It is our role, I think, to encourage dialogue, but I don't think it's our role to specify what the outcome should be, and so that is the approach that we will continue to take.
I'm deeply concerned about the implications of some of the questions that are being put to my noble friend. My suspicion is that although some members clearly have an appreciation of just how near war the Horn of Africa is and how many moving parts out of our control there already are, perhaps the government could find time for us to have a debate in government time on the Horn of Africa so that people can fully understand just how much on the verge of war this area is, and why in this House asking questions that are consistent with our long-term interests and the possibility of the stopping of war would help that, because some of these questions will undermine our attempts to try to stop that war.
The Noble Lord makes an incredibly important point, and he is a far more experienced parliamentarian than I, and I am sure that he is able to navigate the powers that be to enable such an opportunity, which I would certainly very much welcome.
Is the Noble Lady the Minister satisfied that the UK is marshalling its soft power in a sufficiently coherent way to promote stability and combat malign influences throughout the Horn of Africa?
I mean, I think that's a very important question, and I will consider that further, because I think we sometimes do overlook or maybe underestimate the impact that soft power can have, and we are certainly very well placed to act in that way, given our historical links and the community here in the UK. So if the Noble Lord doesn't mind, I will take that away and I will give that some further consideration.
Lord Black at Brentwood.
The international community is closely watching to see if Somaliland's progress and the changing dynamics in the region will lead to a shift in their long sought after recognition. We will continue to follow this story and provide updates as the situation evolves. This is Africa Focus, and thank you for watching.